you very much. Like I said earlier, so you're welcome. And I'll be speaking about how to write an award-winning resume. So this section is divided into two aspects. Number one is generally speaking about writing resume and CVs. Then the second aspect will be about how to write a specific type of CV, which we refer to as Europa CV, which is used in several Erasmus Mundus scholarship applications. But as a general form of introduction, your CV is a piece of document that gives anybody who wants to know about you a summarized introduction of your background and what you can do and what you have achieved. So briefly in your CV, if you are submitting any CV, your CV should be able to speak about those three basic things. Number one, to know who you are. Number two, what have you achieved before in the past? And number three, what can you do? So if your CV is not given of this full introduction, then probably you have to look at it. And with this webinar, we should be able to give you a glimpse about the necessary things you need to know, and also how you can prepare your CV such that with your CV, you should be able to get a fully funded scholarship to study overseas. So stay tuned. All right. So now I outlined here some 4 basic steps, which I believe if you follow these steps, you should have an award-winning CV that you can use for any graduate school application. Now, there's something I quickly want to note here. There are different types of CVs that you can have. We have professional CV, which you use in applying to jobs and several other things like that. And you also have what we call academic CV. So in this our journey today, I'll be introducing you to academic CV and some important things that you need to have on your academic CV to make you stand out. There are some things that you might have on your work CV, or you might see that, okay, on your work CV, they are irrelevant and you don't want to put them there. But here in your academic CV, they are very, very important and germane. And if you don't have them there, it might actually portray you in a less image as compared to what you have actually achieved and who you are. So in writing a CV, I have these 4 basic steps that I usually advise people with. The first thing is that before you start writing any CV you want to write, I believe as a graduate from any school and from any department, you've undergone several training, you've undergone several volunteer activities, you've achieved a couple of things, and you have them scattered around. The first thing you have to do is that, okay, look at your achievements, look back in time, what are the things you have done, write them down in a piece of paper and outline all the achievements you have. And these achievements, don't think any of them is irrelevant. I mean, even before you start applying to any school at all, sit down and look back. Okay, in your year 1, year 2, year 3, what were the things that you were engaged in? Or what were the things you achieved and the likes? So write them down. Don't see any of them as irrelevant or not useful. You have them in a single place, makes it easy for you later on to pick the relevant ones among all of those achievements you've had and those skills you've learned to use them in your applications. Now, I made a point here that you outlining this achievement is such that for any application, for anything you want to apply to, you can actually use any of the points you have, any of the achievements you have there. Say, for example, I have a friend who, when he was just starting his scholarship journey, he developed a CV which is up to about 7 pages. Well, yours might not be more than 3 or 4 pages, or even 2 pages, for example, for a start. But at least those 7 pages, it encompasses both the things that you might need and the things that you might not in reality need for all the programs you're applying to. And maybe after going through 1 or 2 things now, I might show you why it is important to go through these steps. This step. Yeah, so I would mention that later. So let me quickly let me move to the second point. Now, the second point is that after you gathering all the achievements you've had, all the skills you have, all the things you've engaged in together in a single document, and you have everything together, the next thing is that for any school you want to apply to, you check their requirements. What are the things they need what are the things the admission board requires? What are the things that what are the things needed by the professor that you're applying to his lab? What are the things that are needed by the consortium you're applying to? So all of these things are the things that you have to check. You find out that after checking the requirements, you will discover that there are a lot of things in your general CV document where you outlined all your achievements that are not exactly aligning with the requirements of that program. So it is easier for you then just to duplicate the initial CV and remove every single thing that is not directly aligned to the specific requirements of the program you're applying to. This is not a compulsory rule, but it usually helps in such a way that if you're applying to any school, if you have a general CV, just taking it out, duplicating it, and in span of 10-20 minutes, you are done having a CV that is specifically targeted at the program you're applying to. So you checking, the requirements, so it makes you slim fit your 7 pages, for example, to let's say 2-page CV. Now imagine you having 7 pages before and reducing 7 pages to 2 pages, for example. You find out that every single line on that 2-page would be directly related to the program you're applying to. Similarly, let's assume your own CV is about 3 pages, for example. You can reduce your CV to a single page, just 1 page. And everything on that 1 page would be what? Would be directly aligned to the program you're applying to. I know a couple of scholars that whenever they're applying to any program, they apply with a 1-page CV. Although if you have much more achievements, you can increase to 2. Some programs will tell you, like for example, the Stanford University Knight NSC scholarship, they will tell you that you should have only 1 page. If you think that you have a decade of experience, then you can actually have a 2-page CV. So these are some of the requirements that you should check. Now, in reducing your CV to the specific requirement of the program, don't look at any achievement as great, massive. Therefore, that reason you don't want to remove it. Now, imagine yourself, you are the supervisor, or let's say you are the admission officer, you are going through a CV, and the person is applying to, say, for example, a thermal engineering program, whereby you talk about, let me just mention a more generic, program, so that everybody can be together. Let's assume you are somebody that graduated from physics, for example, and you're applying to a program in electronics. So you have background in using sensors, you have background in programming and several other things like that. And this is actually massive, these are great skills you have acquired over the years, and you have publications on them. Then amongst the things that you've done that is actually very great is the fact that, okay, in your application as well, you have actually, you've delved into another aspect of physics, let's say quantum physics, for example. And quantum physics is more of theories. I actually had a very nice achievement in that regard as well. Now you're applying to an electronics program, which is more of practical and much more of, you dealing with sensors and the likes. Don't say because you have a great achievement in quantum physics, then you leave it in the, in the CV. It is best for you to reduce the CV to very germane requirements of the school, such that you won't be seen as someone that, okay, you don't really know what exactly you are applying to. So in your CV, I can find electronics, I can find quantum mechanics, and I can also find several other things that are not directly related to the program. So it makes you look like a confused person, other than someone that is really, really interested in that program. Unless if that skill you are leaving there is in one way or the other relevant to the program you're applying to. Say, for example, someone applying to robotics, and in robotics as well, you deal with sensors and several other things like that. But while applying, you mentioned some things about data science, artificial intelligence. Even though perhaps your program is more of a mechanical part of robotics, you mentioning about AI shows that, okay, you can add something more to the research team. This is a different situation. But talking about things that are not directly related to the program you're applying to, please don't leave them on your CV. Reduce the CV to the very germane and important aspects as stated in the requirements for the program. All right. Then after that, the third point is that many people in their CV speaks about the things they've done rather than the things they've achieved. say for example, you had an experience in a company where you use some softwares, like let's say you use Excel, for example, and you use Tableau, you use all these software, all these tools for data and for data analysis and the likes. Now, people go ahead to mention about the things they've done, the tools they've used, and they don't really emphasize on what they've used those tools to achieve. Now, remember, you going to graduate school, what is required of you is that all the tools you have, all the things you know, you should be able to show them how you are able to use them to achieve results, to obtain results. So if you just mention that, okay, you worked in so company for like about 2 years or 6 months, maybe your IT, for example, then you mentioned that, oh, I used Excel, I used Tableau, I used this, I used that. And you mentioned the things you've done. Quite okay, you are showing your skills, but you've not proven to me that you can actually you've not shown me that you can actually use these things to achieve results. Now compare you saying you use Excel and others to someone who stated that, okay, you're able to carry out the data analysis of a so amount of data to achieve so results, and the result is used in a particular application, for example. So this shows that you don't just only know how to use the tools, but you've used the tool to achieve some results. Don't worry, I would show some examples as during the demo aspect of this section. Now, the last thing is that in developing CV, it is very, very important that you stand on the shoulder of some giants to see what best you should do. And this is by what? By you contacting scholars, those who already have some scholarships, and asking them if they have some templates or some sample documents they can give you for CV, and also asking them to review your documents for you. You'll be surprised that some things you see as great, massive, they will point out some key errors in those, in those documents for you. So you meeting them, it makes it helps you in improving your CV, and this is a very, very great resource that you might not be able to find them online, but rather from the experience of those scholars in the application processes, as well as in their previous review of CVs. Now, aside that, we also have the UISF drive. I believe you have access to the drive. Then you can find ample documents there that that you can use, that can help you in starting your CV development. All right. So now, first, after this, I would like to show you some samples of some CVs, pointing out to you the important things you need to outline in those CV and the things you need to avoid. Maybe some mistakes I have personally made before in the past, and perhaps some things that you can watch out for and also learn from them if they are positive. So let me give you some demo. I want to share you some CVs now. I'm coming. I'm sorry, please hold on. I'm trying to share my screen here. My what's it called? A CV here, but it's hanging. It's already open there. Just to share it, it's causing some hitches here. No. It's not showing here.
Where?
Yeah. So this is a typical CV that was used to apply for a particular robotics program in a university in in South Korea. the school actually, let me just give you a background. The school actually, the research lab actually, they engaged in robotics development and development of robots, and they tend to use some application of artificial intelligence in that, in that program. Now, this is just a one-page CV. As you can see, it's just page 1/1, and all the requirements, all the things you need for the application will be summarized in this one page. And I'll just show you a typical example. Number one, the person graduated stated his degree as well as CGPA. Now, one important thing for you to note about CGPA is that if your CGPA is not strong and you think it will be a negative, it will be a kick to your application, you might not necessarily mention it in your CV. Just remove it. But if you think it's actually very okay, then you should leave it. Then doing your undergraduate program, in your education aspect, if you have some very genuine courses that make you stand out for the program you're applying to, you can mention them. Particularly if, let's say, it is not really the major you had in your undergraduate, to show that even though you actually have, several engagements in your undergraduate, you have some very relevant courses that you have. Then, if your thesis is also aligned with what you're applying to, then you can mention it. Now, for this program now, for example, this person is applying to a robotics program, and he did a final year project on robotics. So one of the major perks you can do is just to add the thesis to the program. Then it is best for you to add, if you can actually add the, an abstract, just add the link to the abstract, and the professor can actually read up the link and see that really you've actually had an engagement on the topic of concern. Now, aside that, in your CV, we have a couple of sections that you should have. The first is the education, which I just mentioned. Then your professional experience, if you have professional experience, or generally your experience, both professional, teaching experience, and research experience. Now, unlike your work CV, whereby you talk much more about your professional experience, here, if you're applying to a research institution, you want to engage in your PhD work, for example, in PhD, for example, then it's good for you to mention about your research experience as well as teaching experience, and also to show that you've had one or two engagements in the industry. You could also add your professional experience. You can add them together on separate headings. But here, just to reduce everything to a page, all the experiences are joined together in a single section here. So the first thing here, this person actually, he has not really done any research other than his final year project. So that does not restrict you, to you saying you don't have any research experience, but rather you can make your undergraduate research your research experience and outline the major things that you've done in the undergraduate in undergraduate project. Now here, after mentioning his research experience, also mentioned about his teaching experience, where he was a tutor in data science and AI section. Now, observe something here. This person is applying to a robotics program and is emphasizing much more on what robotics and AI related, achievements, other than just jumping here and there and picking up several things together. All right. So after that, he mentioned about what was it called? His professional experience. Now, after you mentioning about your education and your experience, another most important thing you need to add to your CV are your skills. Because for someone who is actually engaged in, say, for example, in an engineering or a tech-based program, your skills are needed in any engagement you find yourself. Either you are in the medical in the medicals, or you're in engineering or agri, anywhere you are, you need your skill for you to be able to, you need your skills to show what you can do in the lab, and to show that, any agreement you have in your graduate school, you can actually perform. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, sorry for the break. All right. So now, looking at this person actually applying to this program, he emphasized on the software expertise he had, as well as his hardware expertise, just to show his relevance to the program is applying to. Now, aside that, your volunteering experience is equally important. Mention the organizations you volunteered for. If it is very much related to the program you're applying to, that is best. If it is not, you have to show that aside your academic engagement, you also have some few volunteering engagement. You mentioned them as well. Then your awards, your honors, your publications, the online courses you took, you can put all of those things on your CV to show them, how much more of a scholar you have been. And some people actually feel conceited that, if I list a lot of awards I've had before, they might feel like you can afford the program, go and do it. No, rather, those awards and honors show how much you have been an achiever, and shows how much you can actually you can actually do in your program. All right. Another important thing for your CV that you have to use in improving your CV is that in several scenarios, we have cases whereby scholars, they don't have much engagement in the program they're applying to, or rather they have limited engagement in the program they're applying to for their postgraduate studies. You taking online courses actually boosts your chance and makes you a better candidate for any program you're applying to. After applying to several online courses and taking those courses, adding them to your CV also improve your chance of getting it improves your chance of getting admitted, and also shows your ability. Then aside that, the projects you've done, your publications, and as well as your referees, you could add them to your CV. So this is just a brief glance into what a typical what a typical CV could entail. Now, this is not a perfect CV. This CV has a couple of flaws, which I would mention now, or rather, which I think can be improved to make the CV a better one. Number one is that you find out that this CV is more emphasizing on what has been done, and has not really spoken about what has been achieved with the CV. Quite okay. It's okay that here he spoke about his experience. He reviewed some work of literatures, and he's also able to what's it called? He's also able to develop a UAV. But then he has not really mentioned about what achievements he has done with this UAV. For example, let's look at the University of Ilorin, for example, is a case whereby we have theft, and we also have cases of armed assault in the university. You stating that he designed a UAV which is used in combating theft and theft and armed assault, and with the aid of artificial intelligence algorithm, for example, will be a better fit for the achievements you've had during your research engagement. And not just only mention the things you've done, but rather how you have used your skills to achieve something significant. And aside that, another thing you could do as well is, look here now, we have tutored undergraduates on Python programming, data science, and ML libraries. This is not the best way you can actually mention your achievement, but rather mention figures, facts and figures, and also emphasize on your achievement. Say, for example, you are able to train 35 undergraduates across 7 universities in Nigeria on Python programming, data science, and ML to develop models which are used for solving native problems, or native problems. Yeah. So this would be a better way to structure the achievements you've had in your during your experience, rather than just mention tutored undergraduates on. Well, it's quite okay, but then you giving those figures about 35 undergraduate students across 7 universities, or mention about you having a virtual program, something like that, then you emphasizing much more on the achievement to actually make your CV be much more pronounced than just having plain words. All right. And this also go as well for your leadership experience, your volunteering activities. Use facts and figures, use statistics, emphasize much more your accomplishments, emphasize much more on what you have achieved. And in some few lines, you can also mention about the things you've done. But those things you've achieved will actually make your CV stand out better. So yeah, let me show you one more CV from one of our scholars. I'm coming. Let me quickly open that. All right, let's just continue. I'm yet to, the file is still loading, so I will just quickly take us through the Europass CV first. Then I might return back to that to take us through that as well. All right. Now, for those who are applying to Erasmus Mundus program, there's a specific CV that is used for Erasmus Mundus program, and the CV is called the Europass CV. So this Europass CV, you have to go through Google to show and to be able to what's it called? To be able to apply to develop that CV. I'm coming. Let me quickly share my Chrome. New tab. Share. Okay, can you see my, okay, I think you should be able to see. Now, the first thing you do is that you go to Google and just search for Europass CV. It's double S, Europass CV. Then when you click on enter, it takes you to the Google page. Then just click on the very first link you see. So with the very first link you see, you can go, you'll be taken to the page where you can, create your own Europass CV. Now, the very important thing you have to note here is that you need to create an account first before you can create the Europass CV. Now, after creating your account and you get to this page, then you click on Europass. I learned that a couple of people actually have problems with developing Europass CV, but it's very, very simple. If you already have your normal CV before, all you have to do is just to transfer your profile down into this what's it called platform, and you can get your Europass CV in a very short time. Okay, click on Europass. So on clicking on Europass, you can actually do a couple of things here, but you're only interested in the CV. So you click on Create CV, and you are here on the landing page for the CV. Now, a general point of note here is that on the Europass platform, you can create as much CV as possible. So if, for example, you're applying to up to about 3 or 4 Erasmus Mundus programs, so you can create about 3 CVs from here. And aside that, if you think that the Europass CV is a very nice design for you, you can also use the CV for other applications, but it is majorly used for Erasmus Mundus application, and it is easy to navigate from here. So the first thing you do is that you start from your profile, or okay. Now from your profile, you can sorry. The first thing you have to do is that you have to fill in your profile, but here I've already filled in my profile. So in some instances, if you don't have your profile filled yet, you can actually navigate through from here. Going back, then you can actually set up your profile. But once your profile is set, then you can actually pick only the relevant details you have, and you can fit them for your Europass. In some cases, you don't really have to put your picture. You can select or deselect. You might not really have to add your date of birth. Nationality might be important. Anything you see that is relevant, you add. Anything you think is not relevant, you remove. All right. Now, on the education and training aspect, so I have my undergraduate degree there and my secondary school engagement. I can remove my secondary school because it's not really relevant. Now, if you look here, I have a lot of subjects here. I mean, it's just too much. And in some instances, I'll be applying to a program where I don't need to show my thesis. So I would have to remove my thesis. But you don't have to bother about that. Just fill in every single detail you think is important in your profile, fill them all in. Then once you are done, you can actually remove things you see as unnecessary. So for example, if you're applying to a program like Rhodes Scholarship, for example, you might have a reason to mention your secondary school engagement. So in that case, you might actually have to tick it. But if not, you can remove it. Then here you talk about work experience. You only select those that are very relevant to the program you're applying to, as I mentioned. So let me just quickly go over this. So I will just leave only 2 and remove the remainder. Then your language skills as well, they are mentioned here. So if you're applying to an Erasmus program whereby you have multiple language, always you have multiple countries you are going to. Maybe you are going to France, Portugal, and Spain, for example. If you understand French and you understand Spanish, it's good you add them to your CV so as to show that you won't have problem in communicating with the locals there. So, but here, let me just add those 2 languages. Now, here you mentioned you have the skills. Then you select the skills you want, you are adding. Then you select the online courses, in my own case here. Now, let me just quickly scroll down. I don't want to bother you with unnecessary information here. So after selecting all the important things I need here for my program, for example, now it could occur that maybe there are a couple of things that you want to add, but they are not available naturally here. What you can do is that you select all the important things that you need, click on next, and once you click on next, you'll be asked that, do you want to edit the information before creating your CV? So now, if you want to do, you say yes. If you don't, you say no. But I want to do, so I say yes. Now, on saying yes here, I have all the things I've selected here. Everything I've selected are here. Then I can decide to rearrange, move up or move down any section. And as well, I can also add new sections to the CV. I can also add new sections to the CV. So you can see here now, I can add more awards if I want to. I can add more projects. I can add anything I want to add. Aside that, maybe I want to add a new section. Aside the sections that we mentioned so far, I can also add a new section. And let me say I want to add a section on publications. So publications is here. And I click on add section. So now with this, I can fill in new values for my publication, the year, the URL, and the likes. Then I can also generate the publication. So I won't want to add this now so that we would have, I won't take our time on that anymore because time is already fast spent. Then next thing, you click on next and you have the preset for your CV, and your CV is ready. So this is your Europass CV. So you might decide that you want to change some few settings, maybe the color or the size of the text. And similarly, you can also do other settings here, but I think with the default setting, you are okay. Then you just click on next and you now have your Europass CV ready. Now, one important thing you have to do is that ensure that you name all your CV according to the program you're applying to. Personally, let's assume I'm applying to Gemaro, which is a robotics program. So I will say Gemaro CV, for example. Then I can save the CV to my system by clicking on download. And aside the fact that you are saved, you've downloaded it here, you can also click save in my Europass library. So anytime you need that same CV, you can always come back here to re-edit the CV. So this is basically how you can create your Europass CV. And you can have your CV ready. Now my CV is downloaded, but and you can then use it for your application thereafter. Now, okay, that is about the Europass CV demo. Now, some important tips. About CV. I've mentioned them before, so let me just quickly roll over them for the last time. Is one, ensure that you get a scholar to review your CV for you before you submit. Not reviewing your CV actually will make you submit. Might cause you to submit a CV that is less than that, or have some errors or some things that you can actually improve on to make you a better candidate. In most instances, even I always send my CV to my colleagues, my friends, or some scholars for them to review them for me. Usually, no matter how much perfect you see your CV, when any scholar review them, they usually find one or two things for you to adjust. That's one. Second thing is that don't procrastinate in writing your CV. Don't say you write your CV few weeks to the submission deadline. Do it as soon as possible. Procrastinating will leave you with little time to review your CV, little time to make corrections, and you might end up submitting CVs with mistakes. So ensure that you start on time and get your CV ready on time. The third thing is that you should ensure that anything you're putting in your CV is very relevant to the program you're applying to. Say, for example, like I mentioned earlier, in some Erasmus Mundus program, they ask you that, okay, your program has about 3 or 4 options, and you should pick one option. Then in your CV, you should try to ensure that those options you are picking or any program you're applying to, ensure that most of the content of the program, your CV is showing how relevant your experience has been and how much those things you've done in the past can make you relevant and can make you strive and survive, or rather achieve great deal in the program you're applying to. But adding every single bit into your CV does not make your CV stand out unique. Now, the last thing is uniqueness. Now, what I mean by this is that don't just write about something that anybody can write on your CV. Don't write what anybody can write. See, for example, you know how to use Excel, for example, or you know how to, don't just write general things. Write things that are unique to you, and no matter how much CV they review, they won't find that statement, that those achievements or those things that are coming from you in other CVs. There are some things that are general, things like your educational background, your CV, your GP, your course, the courses you had, your thesis, and the likes. But things about your achievements, try to ensure that you paint them in a way that make you stand unique from others. As much as you have your motivation letter to buttress more your achievements, your CV will be a perfect summary of what you have achieved, and to bring to bring the reviewers, to bring it to a limelight inside of the reviewers. Now, the last thing is that you don't really have to add only your academic achievements or the achievements that are aligned with the program you're applying to. I think I've stressed that a lot. But now note, in some instances, you still have to show that you are not just an academic person. You are someone that, okay, aside the fact that you have engagement in academics, you also have non-academic engagements, maybe in volunteering, in one organization or the other. So try to ensure that you have at least 1 or 2 statements about your non-academic achievements. So say, for example, maybe during your NYSC, NYSC, you had some engagement for, maybe in your environmental sanitation program or education enlightenment program. So try to mention one of these things, or doing your undergraduate, maybe ISEC or so. So add them to your CV. It shows that you have 1 or 2 engagement. In fact, some people actually, they don't really have any non-academic achievements except in their religious organizations, maybe like MSSN or any other place where you've had an engagement outside your academics. Add them, so they show that you have a concern about your community, and you, as much as you are engaged in academics, you are also engaged in giving back to the community. So these are some few tips I would give about CV, and I will be welcoming questions after the session. So thank you.
All right, so thank you very much, Mr. Farouk, for that wonderful presentation. I think Mr. Kodir Omotesho would take on the stage now to talk about how to write SOPs. So Mr. Kodir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is, I'm going to share my screen now so that I can get on with this as soon as possible. So yeah, presentation 1, sorry. Yeah, basically, yes, good. Can you all see my screen, please? Now? Hello?
No. Not yet. Yes. Oh, yes, we can.
Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Omotesho Kodri. I am an Erasmus Mundus scholar a 2022 Erasmus Mundus Scholar, and I'm currently starting my studies in the Netherlands, in University of Groningen, on innovative medicine, international master's in innovative medicine. And it's very nice to be here to talk about writing SOPs and motivational statements. So I'll get on to the nitty-gritty of what I'm talking about. But first, I would like to do some definition. Yeah, what is the SOP? There are a lot of terms. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
There are a lot of terms that people that are being thrown around for what an SOP is. Call it a statement of purpose. Some people call it a personal statement. Some call it a motivational letter. The truth is, sometimes they use it interchangeably, and sometimes they can mean different things. But the statement of purpose is more like, and motivational letter are usually mean the same thing. The personal statement is more like talking about your history and your journey, but basically they all mean the same thing, especially when the school you're applying to specifies what they want from you. Like, are you seeing this thing that I'm moving around? Let me just, yes, no. Hear me, please. Hello?
Yeah, we are with you, scholar.
Yes.
I said some schools throw it around, and but it's usually the same thing for almost all schools. Now it depends on, and some schools have specifications of what they want in the statement of purpose or motivational letter or personal statement. But we'll be getting into that too very soon. So what is the statement of purpose? It is a critical, keyword critical. So it's not just something you throw around. Sorry, there is a noise, there's a background noise. Yusuf, Muiz, Mr. Yusuf. Okay, thank you. It's a critical piece of graduate school application that tells the admission committees many things. It is very critical, and it should not just be written anyhow. It should be it should be written very carefully. And I would show us, this is what I will be telling us how to write it. And the most important things to note when you're writing these things is what I'll be communicating in this talk. So what does it tell the admission committee? It tells them who you are, what your academic and professional interests are, your goals, your aspirations, and why applying to this school helps you achieve those goals and aspirations. And then most of us write this motivational statement, but we tend to always forget how we are going to add or contribute to the graduate school program, because they'll be funding you to come and probably do a research or study. They expect you to also add to their own program and boost to them. It should be a two-way thing, not just one way. So that is one thing that should also communicate how you would add value to the graduate program you're applying to. And then what should it do? What is the basic thing that your SOP should do? It should convince the readers that you have solid achievements, that you are someone who has very good achievements, that have a good track record of achievements, and that you show great promise, that you have a very high potential for success in the long run. So now I'm going to give us some of the prompts that I have faced, or should I say that I've seen during the course of my own application. So the current program I am currently running now, which is the International Masters in Innovative Medicine, this was the requirement for the SOP. So they gave a very detailed requirement they want in the SOP. And then one important rule when you're writing your SOPs, the requirements are the most important thing. You should follow the requirements to the letter. Don't say, I want to put, you should follow it to the letter. You can now be very creative about it, but it should communicate everything that is being required by the scholarship body or by the program. So what is this IMIM talking about? They said that there are important stuff. Your motivation letter plays an important role in your admission procedure. The letter gives the admission, they are telling us what the motivation letter does, and think about what makes you stand out from the rest, right? So a lot of people, and I will still be talking about, a lot of people write the same way, but you should kind of make yourself stand out. This is very thorough. Some programs are not as thorough in their requirements as this. So this was a very thorough motivational letter request. So think about what makes you stand out. Try to avoid commonplaces by really focusing on your personal motivation and experience. Motivate us to choose you as an IMIM student. So basically what your motivation letter does, or your personal statement or your SOP does, is to kind of push them. They will be sitting down on their bench and then push them that I'm the one that deserves this funding. I'm the one that deserves your attention. Give me this money and let me show you where I can take you and this program. So they are telling you that they are not specific required format, but there's a word limit. You see, that word limit is the most important thing. If they specify it, never go past it. But if they don't specify it, I have also something that, well, you should do. It's in my slide. So let me just still continue. So what are the leading questions? They gave you some questions that you need to answer. Why are you passionate about this program? Why are you applying to this program rather than other programs in related field? That means they want you to identify something special in this program that is making you to want to apply to this program. And how do you identify something special in any program you want to apply to? You have to do core research. You have to understand the program to the latter. You have to know what stands this program in this particular school out from the rest of other the programs. That is what shows or communicates to those people that will be reviewing your application that, oh, this person did his or her own work while applying to this school. So why are you applying to a program that is specifically oriented towards research and preparation for a subsequent PhD? They are telling you that the program is more focused on preparing students for a PhD. So they are kind of directing you that your long-term goal should not be, oh, I want to go and get a job, especially when you're right. They're telling you that your long-term goal should be wanting to pursue research or advance to a PhD. You know, how do you think you are a suitable candidate for a selected program? How do you fit in a class of students from all over the world with diverse cultural and academic, and what are your future plans? This was for the Erasmus. I'm sure when people say this, they'll be like, oh, where do I start? Where do I start? So now, this is, I'm sharing.
Except all these big schools.
Sorry,
Like
please.
Boston.
Mr. Farouk. Okay, this is another example. University of Alabama. This is their SOP prompt. I applied to this school too, and they want to know what your background is, and how these experiences, your background, have shaped you for your interest in graduate work. What's your short-term and the long-term goals? Why the biological science is a discipline you think as a discipline? Why biological science are a discipline you think that can help you achieve your goals? You know, it's still the same thing as the IMI saying, why are you applying to this program? How does this program help you achieve both your short-term and your long-term goals? So why our department and its faculty, which member do you think would serve as a good mentor to you? What contribution do you think you can make to our program? See, this is another one. The previous one said, sorry, why is my slide is not moving? Sorry. Come on. Okay, now the previous one said, how do you fit in? And okay, why do you think, and how do you fit in into a class with diverse cultural, and that means what is the special thing that you have that make you fit into this particular diverse selective group of, so it still boils down to what are you bringing? What capacity do you have to give us in this program? So let me move forward. Now, the first thing you need to do whenever you are applying or considering applying to any school is to identify, or any program at all, or in graduate school, identify your unique selling points. What do you have that you want to sell? You know, you have to show that you are different from everyone, because there are a lot of people applying to a program or to any program that you see, and then the fundings are usually massive, and you have competition with people from China, from India, people that have very good, strong background, even more than what we get here in Nigeria. But you still need to identify a unique selling point. And what is your unique selling point? These are the unique benefits exhibited by an individual that makes you stand out from the peers. And how do you identify a unique selling point? What most people don't know is this. What do you have? What are you doing? What is the special thing? You now have to look at, what does this program want? You know, first look at, what does the program want? What kind of person is the program open to employ, or to give admission or give funding to? Then what do you have right? And now look at that special skill that you've grown, you've developed over the years, that you're motivated about, like that special skill that the program wants, that you have, that special skill that you have, that the program wants, is what you are going to sell to the program. And it takes a lot of thinking and self-reflection for you to understand what your unique selling points is. So that is your number one goal. First, identify your unique selling points. Aside from grade, because there are a lot of people with great, crazy grades, like you've been seeing 5.0 over 5.0 CGPA. But apart from the grades, what special talents are you bringing? Let me move forward. So what I'm still talking about, the unique selling points. So those are the first, that's like number one question you need to first answer in your own mind before you now go ahead to start looking at how you want to apply to the school. So an individual's UPSB, unique selling point, differs for application. So if you understand what your unique selling point is, for you to identify what your unique selling point, you need to know what the program wants. So what the program wants would be what you would sell to them that you have. So each program wants a different thing. I gave you 2 SOPs now that want you to identify 2 different parts, areas, So you have to look at what the program wants and look at how you fit in into what this program wants, and how that is how you sell yourself to that particular program. So number one rule, you cannot use the same SOP for different programs because each program wants different things, right? That is why there must be alignment and understanding of the programs or scholarships objective. So that is, you have to do your own work if you want any full funded scholarship. You have to be very, very, very intentional. It's here too. So this can only come with access to the right information, yes. And then there's one very secret code I have. It's called the why analysis. Why? Okay, now let me go back to here. I know I'm taking a lot of time. Why are you passionate about this? It is, why analysis is like a table. You draw a table now of 3 columns. The first column is, what does the program want? What do I have? What do I not have? Those are the 3 things you need to put on your column. So why are you passionate? Why are you applying to this? Okay, you have backgrounds in this particular field. Okay, you have something to talk about, your passion. But do you have any special skill, any extracurricular skill? Oh, I don't have that. Do you have any special research skill? Because they asked you, why are you applying to a specifically or a program that is oriented to research? If you have the background or a research interest or a background in research, or you've done a lot of research, that should be something you could say, okay, you are motivated due to your experience. Due to your experience in research, you are motivated to consider a research master's. That is something you have. So you need to conduct what I call the why analysis. Look at what the program wants, look at what you have, and look at what you don't have. And now look for ways to develop on what you don't have while not closing your eyes on what you have. You have to also develop what you don't have. So that is one thing you need to also, so once you can operate according to what the program wants, you will be given the program, once they see you, they'll be like, oh, this is the person we want. Not because you're actually that great, but because you aligned your write-up, your SOP, to what they want. And that is the most important story behind what's writing an SOP, writing an SOP. So I'm giving us the different, some types of SOPs here. So now, and what I mean by your unique selling point, this person now, this was for a PhD. During the SOP, before the SOP, the person has sent a cold mail to a professor, and then the professor has encouraged him to apply to the program. He has even done some meeting with the program. That is a strong point for him, So now he gave a general overview of why he's interested in the program, which is here the personal connection with the theme, and telling of the story of how growing up in southern Nigeria has motivated him to be to be interested in climate and environmental problems. And this is what motivates him to want to develop advanced program studies to solve this problem, right? But then, yes, you have that problem, but okay, what do you have? What do you currently have right now that you have that is of interest to us? So he established that he has developed a strong contact with the professor in the school, which encouraged him to apply to the school. That is another thing. That's the first killer. Then I think one of the requirements of the program is the person has to show that he is able to solve problems. So he listed his leadership skills and how he was able to use those leadership skills to solve some important tasks or carry out some important goals, and how this expertise, how he can use that expertise as a leader to contribute to the graduate school. You know, he showed how he has achieved leadership expertise and how he has achieved as a leader. He's now telling us that this experience is not just doing it he's not just going to die in him. He's going to now bring those experiences of solving a problem as a leader into the graduate school. That is the way you contribute to the graduate school. And then you have to now say your dream to them. Okay, I think this program also trains people. It's a master's program. Okay. After the PhD, they would like you to know what your long-term goals and all of this. So he sold his dream to them. And this was a very, very key, and this was a successful SOP, personal statement. So this is another one. What is this person's unique selling point? He had a very strong research background, so he knew what he was going for. He first gave a short introduction about how his mother's sickness motivated him to want to study antibacterial resistance. Then he gave the killer. The killer stroke is the fact that he had very strong different publications with research, and that was what that really fits into what that program is looking for. They want someone with a very strong research background, and then this person has given, and he's not just putting it there. He's telling us what he did, what he achieved, and whether that research has been published or not. So he's not just writing the entirety of. He's not just been writing the entirety of his research. In this more short paragraph, he talked about 2 to 3 researches that he's working on. So the second point, okay, I know I've given a lot of points, but one of the important things that you should also know about SOP is that brevity is very important, being very short. You don't need to say everything. You don't just put your research out there. Talk about what your research is, what the outcome of your research is, what the relevance of your research is. How relevant is this to solving the current human problem? So that is another way to communicate, but I'll be talking about that further. Now, what are the common myths held or common important questions that people ask about SOP or personal statements or motivation letter? How long should it be? And some programs, like the program I showed you, the University of Alabama did not specify any length or anything. They just gave you some questions. But the Erasmus IM specified the word limit they wanted. So depending on specification, follow the specification strictly. If they don't, your SOP should not be more than 1 to 2 pages max. It can be 3 pages, but it should not be full 3 pages. You know, it can be half of 3 pages, or maybe the upper side of 3 pages. You should, but as much as possible, make it 1 to 2 pages, smart, 5 to 100, 1,000, well-selected words. I intentionally put it that it should not just be anything. You should not just think of every sentence. And this is how intentional you should be with SOP, because it is a critical part of your graduate school. Every sentence in your SOP should have a reason or a goal it aims to achieve. I know I wrote it somewhere there, but I'm going to say it again. Every sentence in your SOP. So you should not just write, growing up in southwestern Nigeria, my mom was a cook, my father was a tailor, and I used to go to the shop with my mom. And why? Why are you telling us all of these things? Why is the occupation of your dad or your mom important for you in communicating in convincing us that you deserve this scholarship? So you should carefully select your words and your sentence. You should not just write anything in your SOP, and that's how important it is. And then make sure the font size is 12. It can be 11, depending on the kind of font style you use, you know. And I put the brevity is key. Make sure you are brief and straight to the point. So can I use the SOP for all? No, because each program have their own different requirements, and then you should not use the same SOP for the same. Can you still hear me, please? Can you still hear me so that I know I'm communicating?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So you should not use the same SOP for all the programs, but there is something we do. You should, okay, well, I'll still talk about that later, then it's fine. What structure should I use? There's no defined structure, but I'm going to share the structure I follow. There are a lot of different structures, but the most important thing is, are you communicating what you should be communicating? or are you not communicating? That is but you can arrange it in different ways. You should also try to avoid grammatical mistakes, and that is why constant review should give people to review. A lot of scholars, if they have time to review, and you should also try to see if you can get your hands on Grammarly and to help you with some of the important grammatical mistakes, because if you are making grammatical mistakes in your SOP, it shows you are not ready for graduate school, because it shows you are very, very careless with what you are writing. So you have to be very, very careful about that. And then do not copy people's SOPs, I beg. So yeah, plagiarism check is always done on most of these SOPs, right? And then if it resembles someone's SOP, then you are even out of the way. So before you even get into the graduate program, you're already plagiarizing people's work. So what happens when they give you funding to do your research? So, God, I'm having that problem. What is happening now? So my own structure, what is my structure of writing the SOP? The part one in my own, the first thing I write is, and I think it is the same thing, it's something I would always recommend, because after going through so many requirements or so many structures of writing SOP, I think the first paragraph is the most important paragraph. Some people write so many stories in the first paragraph, and then the person reading it will get bored and will not even know why he's reading this SOP. So your first paragraph should be like an introduction of something like who you are, a little short introduction, and what are your interests. I need to know, this is what, picture yourself, you need to be reading the first paragraph, you need to know why this person is interested in this program, why this person is writing this SOP. From the first paragraph, I need to know. And from the first paragraph, you need to know what this person is applying for. If you don't put that in your first paragraph, then if you now go and put that in, the person will be bored by the person, because one very important thing that we should know when reading these SOPs, most of them don't sit down thoroughly to read SOPs. They just skim, and then you need to grip their attention by the first. You don't need to find the most powerful words, but you need to grip their attention in a way by showing, first of all, a little bit of your story, of your background, your interest, and your motivation for what you are applying to why this person is reading your SOP, to why your application is here. This is why I'm applying. So your first paragraph should show that this is my own structure. It doesn't mean this is how everything should be, and it doesn't mean other structures also don't count, but this is mine. And then the second paragraph, okay, after reading about your motivation, about you a little bit, and your motivation and your interest, and that, okay, your interest in applying to a graduate school, what are your goals? That is how I think, or you should talk about your short-term goals and your long-term goals for applying to this program. Everything you say that your goals should be related to applying to the program. So you should not be applying to a research program and saying, oh, my long-term goal is to be a minister for health in my country. No. Every goal that you have, your short-term goal and your long-term goal, should be related to what the program is trying to achieve. What the program is trying to train people to achieve. Most programs, like the program I showed you, the Erasmus, said that it's going to train you, like, why are you interested in a program that trains people for PhD, to advance for a PhD? This program is trying to make people develop interest in picking up a PhD or maybe going to the industry. So don't go and say your long-term goal is to be a politician in your country. It depends on the program, depending on the program. But you should find goals that are related to the program's goals, the vision of the program, the goal of the program. And then the part three is, why this school? Why are you applying to this school? Why not other different schools? What does this school specially have? So for you to identify what this school specially have, it has to be from your research. You have to compare, because of this particular institute in your school that is conducting research on brain disorders, and you are very interested in brain disorders, that is why I picked your particular school. Because of this research of these persons, this Professor Tate and Professor Andrews' research, and Professor Andrews' research in this particular field, you really felt aligned with the research goals, and this is why you picked this school over different schools. So you have to actually show that you know what the school is all about, or so you have something You have a lot of information about the school and the program and what the program is to achieve. So that is how you can actually selectively talk about this school. And then talk a little about your undergraduate. Now, yeah, you don't need to talk about your 100 millions of subjects, your CVs, your CV is where you overload all the information. I know it should be 1 to 2 pages, but your CV should be like, you should not be writing everything that is in your CV and putting it in your SOP again. Your CV should just contain like the more detailed version of yourself, but your SOP should be the brief version, brief story about yourself, your goals and your aspiration. Your CV will not tell them that, but your SOP should tell them where you are looking at and why you are applying to this program, right? So talk a little about your undergraduate program, and talk a little about your undergraduate program in like in directing it, communicating it, what you need to tell, okay, talk about your undergraduate program. Maybe you were the best graduating student, you could just probably put that there, a little bit, just one line, and talk about your research experience, if the research is a research program you're applying to, and how that your research experience has motivated you to want to advance your studies, and when you're talking about your research, I said it before, you should talk about what you did, the outcome of what you did, and the relevance of what you did, and whether it has been published or not. Put it in your SOP, that will communicate your relevance, or should I communicate your research skill? And also, depending on your field, speak in the language of your field. Like, you should not be speaking in layman term, because people that will be reading it would be professionals, people that are most likely in your field or in your department or in the program you're applying to. And then you cannot now be communicating like a layman and be talking about research and just be talking about as if you don't understand some important lingo about research, language about research. So you can talk about your grade, as I said, or not, but be very brief. Now, elaborate on some important extracurricular skill, maybe that you gained in school that is related to your program. So an example was the one that I talked about, the leadership program, and where he did some leadership stuff, and how he's going to, you must always talk about your skills in your SOP, and you must always end it with how that skill will make you a better candidate in the graduate program. You must always end up that everything you say should always be directed to how you will be the best candidate in their program, or how you contribute more to their program. That is how they can say, oh, this person has a lot of potential to give us, right? So you have to communicate that. And then you should talk about what you are doing now. You say that my part 4 is a little bit long. Yes, it can be 2 paragraphs. What are you doing now? How does it relate to this program? Are you doing some research now? Are you doing sales? How does this sale really relate to what your advanced program, or what you are looking forward to? How does that thing that you're doing now relate to what you are looking towards? And that is also very important in your CV. If you now, I'm just quickly diverting now. That is one very important thing. That's why I said you have to be very intentional about it. It is there. Your work experience. If you know that your work experience is directly not related to what you are applying for, look for work experiences that you've done. You should even if you are writing that work experience that is not related to the program, look for stuffs. Maybe you're applying to a research program, but you're working in sales. Part of research is communicating research. But you can now, if you are working as a salesperson, but you are applying to a research program, instead of now talking about, oh, you sold 10,000 units of this, talk about core skills that you are having in that sales, as a sales representative, that can be applied on research. And one of the most important things is that the fact that you can communicate, you have to communicate research after doing it. You have to emphasize your communication skill, how you selling, how that sales has improved your communication skill, and how you hope to use that in your graduate study. You have to look for, I'm just talking generally, if what you're doing now, because people have that problem that what they are doing now is not related to what they're applying for. If you're talking about your work experience, your CV, your responsibilities that you list under, make sure that you talk about important core skills that could be applicable in your research or in that research program. Okay, maybe your sales program requires you to present. Oh, tell them that, oh, you've presented to a large amount of people, achieving these particular successes in your presentation. developing your presentation skills, which will be useful during communicating research and scientific conferences in your graduate school program. You know, you have to do that. You have to be very, 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 very structured in what you are saying. So that is one. And then the part five should be the conclusion. For me, my part five is the conclusion is always, you don't need to say a lot of stuff. Just I always summarize all my paragraphs. The part one, part two, part three, okay. You just summarize it in maybe one sentence. That should be a conclusion. Because the reason why I put that as a conclusion is because in case they want to just be skimming and they are not paying good attention to what I wrote, or maybe the person is not really focused on what we are reading the entire passage, we just read the first paragraph and the last paragraph. The conclusion will still say some little bit about each of those paragraphs, you know, so this person will understand everything that he has been reading in the last paragraph. So that is just in a way to kind of just boost my outlook when this person is reading it, in case this person is not paying close attention into reading everything. And then what are the key points that I said? You should always think STAR. STAR is the situation, the task, the action, and the result. You know, always write your SOPs in STAR format. You could also browse what STAR format. Look at the situation, the task you did. Okay, no, the situation, the task needed, the action you did, and the result of what you did. Always communicate, write everything in a STAR format. Every sentence you put in your SOP should have a goal it aims to achieve. Don't write anything. What I do is whenever I finish a sentence, I look at that sentence and I reflect, what is this particular sentence from this full stop to this full stop? What is that thing that is within that system? What is it achieving? How does it communicate my interest into this program? And that is that will determine whether I should leave that sentence in or I should not leave it. You have to be very, very reflective. You have to be able to reflect on everything you write and be positive throughout. Yes, you don't have research skills. Don't go and be saying that you don't have research skills in your SOP. Talk about what you have in a very, very positive way. You know, be very positive. Don't have any negative tone in your SOP at all. You don't need it. And be very, very, very intentional about what you are communicating. It is the most important thing. Anyone could write an SOP, but what stands you out is how intentional and how you make sure your SOP really fits what the program wants. So this was mine in response to the IMIM. And what did I do? So I first, I think I wrote something here. Always picture a funnel. In your introduction, always picture it come from a general overview and come and then streamline it to where you are. You know, that always picture an inverted funnel, a funnel from that broad part and then come down to that narrow part. That is how you should first make your chapter one. So always come from a general overview. Sorry, I know my time is almost up. I'm almost done. This was mine. I said I came from where I gave an introduction. I talked about what my motivation is. And when I was talking about my research, sorry, please mute your mic, please. Sorry. Mr. Yomide, something. Hello. So when I was talking about my research, I said I played a lead role in investigating the acute toxicity and anxiolytic potential of two natural products, right, in mice. The research showed that both plants were safe. These plants that I researched, I'm telling you about my result now, exhibiting anxiolytic effects at particular doses. I'm talking about my research now, but I'm not giving all the scientific whatever. I'm talking about what I did, what I got from what I did, and the relevance of what I did. If translated into clinical use, the plants could offer a safer treatment option for managing anxiety. These studies have been published in 2 reputable journals, and I've talked about my research. You know, very short and brief and straight to the point. You don't need to go around the bushes. Just talk about what you did, what is the relevance of what you did, what was the outcome of what you did, and was it published or not, and then move forward. And then I'm talking about, you know, they asked me what am I bringing to that particular quote. So which is, what am I bringing that is different? How have I distinguished myself? So I've used as a great presenter from my successful academic debates and clinical presentations, and how my experience as a student body president and working with various research teams, I've developed through that experience, I've developed significant leadership and collaborative skills, which will help me contribute during the BBB project. The BBB project is one of the special things the IMIM program offers. So I was able to show what I had and how I'm going to contribute it. I've also developed for the foundational programming knowledge for analyzing genomic data and results, improving my contribution to research at Groningen and Uppsala, which is the places I'll be going to study in my master's. I will also apply this knowledge to enhance colleagues' research in the course through collaboration and teamwork. I'm talking about what I have, and now I'm going to use it to help others, and now I'm even going to bring it to the department and to school and help them achieve their research goals. So basically, what have I been saying? Think critically about your unique selling point. What do you have? What do you have? What does the program have? What do you have that relates well to the program? And then the next thing is package yourself in the best way. The most important thing about graduate school or the SOP or anything is a graduate school application or it's all about packaging. Package yourself in the best way. And then what? Sell yourself to them. And then once you sell yourself to them, they'll be giving you all their dollars and all their money for you to just come and study with them. So I think by now I should end my presentation. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I should stop sharing. Yep. I'll take questions and people that have questions. Hello, Mr. Sorry, the moderator. Okay. I think the moderator is not online. So please, if you have your questions, you can then give it to me and Scholar Farouk, and we can answer your question. Please, can you hear me, everyone?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes. So, please.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, you can put your questions in the chat box so that I can answer them or Scholar Farouk can answer them. But I think the person that is moderating the program is not around. Scholar Ifada is here too, so Scholar Ifada can take over. Hello. So no questions, yeah? I believe everyone is clear about the presentations and all. So which question, please? How do you write a CV via no? So Scholar Farouk, are you here?
Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, but Scholar Farouk, so yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I have a question about cold email.
Okay, cold email, okay.
Yeah. For some time now, I've been trying to adjust my emails, and I just get it. I don't know. Sometimes there was a professor.
I can't. You're not very clear.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah. I can.
Okay. I said there was a professor I emailed in Australia, and the response I got was that he said I needed a first authored manuscript. So
What's a self-sponsored manuscript?
First authored manuscript.
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear it very well.
First authored manuscript.
First authored manuscript, yeah.
So does it really mean if you don't have maybe like a publication, you don't have any chance?
No, okay. I can answer that, yeah, because I sent a lot of cold mail too. First of all, I think one of the things you need to tell the professor is that in Nigeria, in most of our research is especially undergraduate research, our supervisor usually would be the one to appear as the first author. So, but you are the one. I think the reason why he is looking for a first author manuscript, because it was a question I was asked and was able to defend that most of our undergraduate projects, our supervisors are usually the ones that write themselves, put their names as the first author. So, and they put their names as the first author, and but we do the main lab work for them, you know. So it's something you should have just responded that, okay, yes, you're not the first author because that is the normal way it is in Nigerian system, you know, educational system. But I think this is the first time I'm hearing that they need a first author manuscript, especially for a supervisor, because most of the cold mail I sent, most of my publications, I'm not the first author, but they don't ask of it. They don't. So I think maybe that was just a special case. In fact, if you don't have a publication and you have other experiences, you can still get a scholarship or an advanced funding for a program. So this research is just, publication is important, but it's not like the main thing, right? So without even publication, you can do it. So that's what I just want to say.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And another thing I'd like to ask is about doing follow-up. I think if other people are here.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Maybe
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, I said I don't know if other people are having similar experiences. The thing is, when you send cold emails to most of them, and if you want to reply, most of them reply with that there's no address that happens.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't want it to look like maybe putting too much pressure on the professor. So how soon do you think one should get on?
Okay. I think I get your question. First of all, one thing I need to, your mindset, the first thing you should have in your mindset is that whenever you code mail, the response, you should not be expected, because the definition of what the code mail is an unsolicited email that is sent to someone just to sell yourself. So your first response, you should have it in mind that the normal response should they should not respond to this, because you are just intruding into their email to send it to them, you know. But when they now respond to you, that should be something that that is a good one, even if it is positive or is negative. Another question I would say is this: how are you writing your cold mail? Are you writing it in a good way? You know, are you following a particular structure? Are you communicating anything? Because as I've explained before, the cold mail is more like you are telling this person that, oh, it should be that you are telling the person, oh, you are interested in their work and you've read their work and you think from your own experience, you can also contribute and gain a lot by working with them. You know, it's not about you that is going, it's more about them, the person you want to work with. So that is the most important information about cold mail. You should always talk in line with them and what they are doing and how you can really help them better what they are doing, right? So that is what the cold mail is. So if you don't get a response in cold mail, there are a lot of people, I don't get responses most times, sometimes in my cold mail. I know it can be very, very sad, but when doing follow-ups, you can do follow-ups maybe after 2 weeks of writing or even 1 week, just put follow-ups that, okay, that I send an email and then you'll be expecting their response, hope to hear their response. And if they don't respond, look for another person to code mail, you know. Code, that is you just continue trying till you get your win. Yeah, you don't expect a miracle instantly, but you just consistently try until you get a positive one. I got a lot of no's, and so most professors say that they don't have funding right now, or they're not looking to accept anybody now, but you continue trying till I got 1 year or few years. So just put it in your mindset that the normal response is a no. But if you now get a yes, good for you. If you don't, continue. Yeah.
All right. The last question.
I can't. Yeah, maybe I should just answer another person's question. I don't know. I should. Please, sorry. Let me just answer another person's question.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Here now. Who is here? Is the moderator here now? Okay. Okay, Mr. Babatunde, you can ask your final question, please. Let me please attend to other people.
Okay. There is this positive response I got.
Okay.
Recently, and we agreed for a meeting, a Zoom meeting.
Okay.
And I gave my free time when I'll be available.
Okay.
But up till now, I'm yet to get a link.
You should continue. You should check back. Have you tried to remind him?
Yes, the second time. This is the second time now. The first time the professor emailed back and said he was sick. I sorry that I couldn't, organize the meeting. But this second time, it is just a silence. I didn't get anything.
You know what? It's fine. Just give him some time, maybe 2 weeks, and send him email that you are still waiting for the time he would probably for him to send the link for you guys to talk. Yeah, just give him some time and then continue doing other stuff. Right? Don't wait for him. That's the most important advice. Yeah, yeah. So any question you have, you can type it. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. So please, Scholar Farouk, I think you have a question on how you can write a CV with no volunteer experience. Can you quickly answer that so that we can experience? Okay, Scholar Farouk is not here. Let me just continue. Can you write the SOP without directing or making it around a particular school? Yes. Hello. Yes, Scholar Farouk, we can hear you now. Okay, I think he's still battling with, but okay, let me answer this question. Can you write what was that now? Sorry, can you write an SOP without directing it to a particular school? Yes, that's one thing most scholars. Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, can you hear me now? Now, fine. I'm very, very sorry for the break. So now, one important thing you have to note is that about volunteering experience, even though it might appear to you that you don't have a volunteering experience, in reality you do. It's almost impossible for you not to have a volunteering experience. You might find it very insignificant. What I would just advise you is that look inwards. Maybe there might be one or two things that you think you have done in your church. That's the listing in your church, the listing. Or maybe in your class in your undergraduate program, you should definitely have one volunteering experience that you've done. You might see it, you might see it minute. Now, the next thing you can do is that look for a way to actually make that experience astounding. So either by describing the best part of it, or by mentioning about the outcome of that achievement. So there's almost no way that you won't have a volunteer experience. That's one. Number two, the main thing that is needed of you in most applications is not a volunteering experience. So it might not really be required or compulsorily be required that you should have a volunteering experience. So the main thing that's needed from you is maybe your research skills, the things you can put forward for the program you're applying to, not necessarily volunteering experience, but just to show that you actually have extracurricular activities and you also think about society and what you can give back to them, then it's good to also include your volunteering experience. Yeah. So if you have additional statement, Scholar.
True. Well, for my own, is just that yes, people, as I said, people should think about what they really have. There are a lot of people that there are a lot of people things that we do, even like free blood donation stuff that we did in school or something. We did all of those things. Those are also some experiences that you did. You could just write under that, okay, that you volunteered to donate bloods and all of those things. It's still something like you volunteered to do something. So just think deep about what you've done, that you might not mean anything. Even maybe it was one outreach that you did, maybe on drug abuse. It was also a volunteer experience. Put it there, package yourself. The most important thing is package everything you have, and then you are good to go. So let me quickly run through the questions, right? You want to say something? Okay, can you write a SOP without directing it or making it around a particular school? Yes. Most scholars, like people that apply for graduate school, they have this template. You know, after writing SOPs for different schools, you have a template like the one I shared, the structure of what I shared, that okay, that communicates everything about that, tells, okay, if you want to write about your research, this is what I want to talk about. So that template, once you've written to one or two schools, you've seen everything you always want to communicate about yourself, then you have that as a template. So when you are now looking at a different school to apply to, you read about their requirements, read about what they are looking forward to. Now take your template here and then now reshuffle it, remodify it to fit into this program's requirements, and then you can also, so it will be easier to write if you have a template that is just general. But once you write 2 or 3 intentional essays for a particular school, you know the constant things that appear in your application essays, and those are the things you don't need to rewrite all of those things. But the first thing is you have to write 1 or 2 very beautiful ones. Yes, that's the answer to that question. Yes, a general SOP can be used to reduce to different school. That's what I'm saying. You don't there's nothing like a general SOP. If you continue to write the general SOP, you continue to have a general rejection. And that's what I'm saying. Although it works for some people, but it doesn't work again because they know the competition is getting really tough, is getting tougher, and you don't want to be that person that goes to write anything generally and not fix what you're writing to that particular school, because there are a lot of people that are writing. You have to distinguish yourself. In writing SOP, can we include a skill that is under learning? Yes. I said in what I shared, I said I have foundational skills in Python programming. I didn't say I'm an expert in Python programming. I said I have just foundational skills. So I was still learning it at that time. I'm still currently learning it because it's never ending. But the fact that you started and you've gained some few things is still a foundational skill. You can always talk about it. Is it necessary to include all projects? No, you should only include projects that is related to this particular program. You don't need to write everything. You should not write about your project that you did, your community development project. You don't need all of those things. Only write things that are related to it. So if you are applying to a research master's or a research program, only write projects that are related to research or maybe related to a volunteer experience, because they love those things. Don't go and start writing things that are not related to the program. Is it mandatory to take MOCs to boost SOP? And that is what I'm saying. I think it just comes down to what you have and what you don't have. MOCs are a way of building your profile, because in my own experience, I needed bioinformatics skills due to my goal to study masters in biomedical sciences. I knew that bioinformatics skills are the way to go in the current trend in my program, in my research area. So I took internships in bioinformatics and then took a lot of trainings, and I communicated that okay, I've done this. And they even asked me during my interview. It's just MOCs are not very important, but the way of building your profile in line with what you're applying for. So if you write it, if you do something that is very, very close to what you're applying for, you should put it. It's good. And Nanji is saying good day, presenter. I don't know, you can put your questions in the chat box. Thank you to all the resource persons. I didn't get over 60% of because I got on board late. Can I possibly get the full? I think they are recording it, yes. So you should get a recording of what we said. Concerning code emailing, can we get a sample? Yes, there's a sample. Yes, for people that want to know more about how to write SOP, I would recommend checking Best Man Academy on YouTube. He has a very good SOP, Best Man Academy on YouTube. That's a very good SOP structure template that you can easily follow. So check that. And code mail, I know there are a lot of SOPs in the UISF tool, the UISF Google Docs, that you can also check, and also code mailing. You can also check. Very, very important, impressive SOPs and CVs and code mails. What are the tips you would give to an undergraduate medicine and surgery student who has IELTS of graduate school? What school should you focus? Now, what kind of program are you applying to? Is it public health as a medicine and surgery student? Is it public health? Is it research? It depends on what you are trying to do. If it's public health programs, especially when you're applying for a postgraduate public health program, they always look for a lot of volunteer experience, especially with NGOs and all of those things. Do you have all of those experiences, especially in public health? If you don't have, if it is research related, because you can also come into biomedical researches, there are a lot of public medical doctors in the program I'm currently in, so you can actually come into the research, innovative medicine. So come here, and then you have to now develop yourself, your research profile, do some internship, take some training in research, and then you can now apply. It just depends on how far you are willing to go to build your profile. Anybody can be anything, but you must be ready to be very intentional about it, and also build yourself to build yourself to be the person that they want. So I am not sure. Thank you very much. I got a comment from it. I said it does not find my. I have been wondering what this exactly and what's the, well, if it does not find your profile academic strong, it's because it's not strong enough for its research. It's not being how should I put it now? It's not being rude about it. It's very serious. So you need to sit down, do your why analysis. What does this program, what is this person's research about? What do I have? What do I not have? How do I build on what I do not have? I don't know whether you do a lot of MOOCs. I don't know whether you've taken a lot of trainings recently. Maybe you should sit down and reflect on what you have. So it's not about somebody abusing you or saying something, but you should also sit down and think, do I have some stuff enough that is strong enough for graduate school? So what are the questions here? Please, what are the differences between, I think, what are the differences between SOPs, Best Man Academy? Yes, Best Man Academy. Can your research interest change from undergraduate? Yes, your research interest can change, but you have to prove, you have to show by doing. You have to, what communicates that you have interest in something. So this for graduate school is what you've done in that particular field. So I did my undergrad in neuroscience, in brain research, but I continued doing researches in cancer biology. In cancer biology, I continued research, showing that I have a very strong passion for research. And that is enough for me to communicate my interest in research. I have a publication in neuroscience. I have something I'm doing in cancer biology, and that was enough to just show that, oh, this person is really interested in research. Let us give him this funding. So you can always change, but once you are ready to change, you have to have something to back it up. You must always do something to back it up. What other question? Please, are there differences in SOP, personal statement, letter of motivation? As I said before, yeah, there might be a little bit of differences, but most graduate schools use it interchangeably, and most of them give a specification of what you want to write and what you shouldn't, what they expect you to write, So depending on what they write, I know personal statement is more talking about your personal story and everything, but